Dorian is one of the most discussed but least understood modes in metal. When learning any mode or scale, the most important thing is to understand how it sounds, and most people don't bother with that. They focus on the patterns or shapes that make up Dorian or Lydian or Locrian, which is necessary, but it's only the first step. In this video, we're going to explore the sound of Dorian. I'll give you some practical exercises so that you can explore Dorian by yourself, and I'll also give you some musical examples so you can see it in the real world. So let's start with a really simple exercise that will get you used to the sound of Dorian. And just so you know, all the examples I'll give today are in E Dorian because my guitar is in E standard. What we want to do is keep a drone of E going while we play through the scale, like this. Now, while you're learning the shape of the scale, playing up and down the neck is great. When you get familiar with one octave, start exploring the notes outside of that octave as well. However, once you're familiar with where all the notes are on the A string, you want to start improvising melodies. Music is supposed to be about self-expression, so it's essential to explore these notes in your own way. And that's the first exercise. Just have fun, get used to the shape, and explore the sound of Dorian. But as you're doing this, I want you to start putting your own labels on the notes. What mood or vibe is this scale giving you? Does it feel happy or sad? What about when you play this note next to this note? What about this one next to this one? What about the combination of these notes together? How does that feel? As you write different melodies in Dorian, you will come out with different answers. But this is an essential part of learning the scale. Just get used to it. Listen. Feel it. What is the scale telling you? So that's the first exercise for Dorian. Do random stuff with a drone note and actively listen to what you're doing. For those of you that really want to go deeper, sing the melodies. Singing your ideas is one of the quickest ways to learn how things sound. And if you think you made a mistake, you can always check if you're still in Dorian on your guitar. So let's move to the next exercise. So it should come as no surprise to anyone that Dorian is unique. The notes that make Dorian unique are the combination of the flat third and the natural six. Every other note combination, whether you take the second and fourth, or the seventh and fifth, or the second and sixth, all these notes appear in at least one other mode, but the flat third and natural six only appear in Dorian. And just to be clear here, each mode has two unique notes that give it its personality. Mixolydian's unique notes are the natural 3 and the flattened 7. Minor has the second and flattened 6th. Dorian has the flat 3 and natural 6. To understand Dorian in whatever exercise or improvising you're doing, you need to visit the flat 3 and natural 6 notes. If you skip one of those, your sound becomes ambiguous. It could be Dorian, or it could be something else. And there's no inherent problem with that. But if you're trying to learn the sound of Dorian, let's keep our focus on Dorian, and you get the results that you actually want. So the easiest way to do this is to create a chord progression that has both the E minor and A major chords in it. For the moment, this is all you need, and your song will be in Dorian. So record a backing track and improvise. It doesn't matter what notes you hit on your instrument, every note that sounds like it belongs is in Dorian. Every note that sounds wrong, not Dorian. Now, the reason why these two chords in particular are important is that these two chords contain those really important notes of the flat third and the natural six that I mentioned earlier. In fact, you can easily replace the A major chord with the F sharp major or C sharp diminished chord because all three of those chords have that natural six note in them. And at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want. Write any chord progression that your heart desires. Here's all the chords in E Dorian. Play around with it. But just remember to start on the E minor and visit at least one of those important chords, otherwise you'll lose connection with Dorian. And as you improvise, any note that sounds like it belongs will be in Dorian. Any note that sounds out of place isn't. All scales are essentially a combination of notes with a title. You change the notes, the title changes along with it. For example, if we change just one note, we can turn Dorian into minor. But the interesting thing about this is even though only one note has changed, which might seem like a minor detail, it can have a dramatic effect on the sound. Now, this video isn't about the differences between Dorian and minor, but it does lead me to an important point that I want you to play with in your own time. Every exercise that we've done today reveals what Dorian is. But when we change that one note to turn Dorian into minor, we change the sound. Your task is to play with the difference. Spend some time in Dorian and then change that one note so you're now in minor. Another option is to visit the notes that aren't in Dorian and see how that affects your Dorian sound. Any exercise like this where you play with the parameters and listen to the results will pay dividends. And for anyone waiting for me to get to the metal part of this video, you have what you need to know. Convert these full chords into power chords or create riffs from the patterns you explore. The fundamental theory is identical. All you need to do is explore these ideas in a metal context. And here's the Jake final take. Music is fluid. Dorian has a particular sound. And if Dorian serves you well for one riff, but it doesn't work for the next, just drop it. There's no right or wrong answers. It's all down to your expression. So by exploring these exercises we've looked at today and modifying them in a way that's meaningful to you, you'll be able to create your own unique music. If you like that, check out my video about the minor scale. See ya.